Okay, we're going to get started. So if you want to start finding a seat, and we want to be respectful for another event that's actually happening in this room after the information session. And so we're trying to be keep track on time for this session. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lisa Branch, and I'm the Assistant Director of Global and Experiential Education. And so I oversee the elective study abroad opportunities that we have here at the School of Business. And I wanted to thank you for coming this evening and also for your interest in study abroad. I am calling via Skype just because I've recently moved to California with my husband, who transferred here for a job. But I will have my contact information at the end of this presentation, so feel free to call, email, Skype. I'm happy to talk with any of you if you have any further questions about any of the programs that I'll be specifically talking about today. And then the faculty directors are actually present to present on each of their courses that they're going to be running. So just a few notes for those of you who have classmates that couldn't attend because of conflicts of class or other events. Know that we are recording this session, and so we will share a link for the recording on our website as early as tomorrow, so that any students who weren't able to attend can view that recording to get all of the information that we're covering today. So as I mentioned before, each faculty member will present on their programs. We also do have a few former participants for some of the programs that will also share their experience. And then once each faculty member is done presenting on his or her program, we'll open it up for questions specific to that particular program. And then if we don't get to your questions, or if we don't have enough time, there is going to be a small reception held in the lobby once we're finished. And that gives you time to informally approach any of the faculty directors and ask them any questions that you might have that we weren't able to cover during the presentation. So with that, I think first it's important to talk about why do we have these study abroad programs or study away programs for those that include domestic destinations. And I think it's important to consider that a lot of students look to these study away opportunities as an opportunity to explore a new sector, perhaps, that you're interested in potentially transferring into after your graduate degree. It's also an opportunity to explore new regions of the world, or perhaps, go back to regions where you have familiarity or language expertise. And it's also another way to explore just different ways of doing business. And students also really like to do this to enhance their skills. If any of you have tried to purchase a metro ticket in Paris, not speaking French, you know that it takes some problem solving. The same could be said for studying at a partner university in Mexico City, where they actually have someone sitting in the back of the room marking every time that you speak in class, and that's how your participation is graded. So that type of adaptability to new academic environments or just new experiences are all skills that you can apply in a professional setting, and are all skills that you will be able to develop further by participating in these programs. You also have access to just different networks and topics of study. So again, these are, faculty sharing their areas of expertise and really allowing you to build on top of the core coursework that you've already taken in your degree program to date. And so you're able to take what you've learned more generally and apply it to a specific sector, to a specific country, and sometimes even to a live client. So participants also really have highlighted the diverse background of students and those who participate in these programs. They're open to all, graduate students within the School of Business, and so you get a really diverse mix of students coming from different GW programs. And also for those students who participate in our short-term exchanges, those courses are open to students from partner universities around the world. And so you're really getting a global network through participating in these programs. And then it'll also increase your cross-cultural awareness. One of the benefits for students who participate specifically in the study abroad courses are that you will have access to a cultural navigator tool that our office has purchased for all participants in study abroad programs. And that allows you to learn more about your own cultural preferences, and then also research how your cultural preferences compare to that of the host destination country, and just kind of learning more about how business is typically done in that specific destination. And next, it's also a great way to advance your degree. I mean, so a lot of students select these programs because they're offered during academic breaks. So these programs we're going to talk about specifically tonight are those that are run in the weeks leading up to the start of the spring semester and also during or around GW spring break in March. And so these are ways for you to be earning credits when you're otherwise not having to be on campus or plugged in for your courses. So again, it's a really great opportunity for students to take more credits in one semester and not have to be worrying about all of those credits throughout the entire semester. And then finally, I did want to also not forget to mention there are now scholarships available. So this is something new as of this year, which we're really excited to offer. So scholarships of $750 are available for participants in study away programs. To be eligible for the scholarship, it is important that you complete the questions that are included in the online application that relate to the scholarship. So those are listed at the end of the online application. So if you want to be eligible for the scholarship, just make sure to answer those questions. And so with that, I will now hand it over. This is the full roster of the programs that we're going to be discussing this evening. And we're going to start off with the winter break programs. And then I'm going to hand it off to Professor Linda Maddox of the marketing department, who will talk specifically about her course Traveling to Sweden.
Thank you, Lisa. This feels like a role reversal. Usually I'm the one doing Skype and you're in person, but thanks for the intro. And hello, everybody. I feel like you're a million miles away from me. But one thing I would say is that one of the benefits of doing the short-term study abroad program is that this would be the farthest away that I think you would ever be, because one of the benefits of doing the short-term study abroad programs is that you have a unique relationship with your peers and with the professors in the classes. It's really a close-knit group, so we would never be this far away in the program. When I was thinking about being in your position, I'm thinking about why would I benefit from this Swedish program? And why would I want to go to Sweden in the winter? And so those are the two things in my short 5 minutes that I have to talk to you. First of all, how will you benefit from this particular program? Well, my course is with a really interesting company. We do a real-world project with a company called SCA Torque. How many of you are familiar with the company? Yeah, some of you may have looked at it, after seeing the course listed online, but most people don't know the company. And in fact, it's one of the biggest companies in the world. And where you may have some aided recall of the product is, imagine yourself in a public restroom right now, and you're looking at those big rolls of toilet paper in the bathroom. Those are usually Torque products. And if you go to McDonald's or Burger King or a lot of restaurants, that's Torque napkins that you're using. I was at I took my mom to Johns Hopkins the other day, and they had Torque napkins in Johns Hopkins Hospital. In the food court. So the company that we're going to be working with is really a world leader and a wonderful company that's headquartered in Sweden. And if you're a Swede, it's like, and you're getting an MBA, it's your company, your go-to company that everybody wants to get a job at. So the opportunity to work in a real-world project with SCA and Torque, I think, is very good. It also gives you exposure. It's going to give you exposure to getting coaching and real-world advice from the top executives at the company. They're headquartered in Gothenburg, Sweden, which is where we're going to be going. So the course actually will start in November, and we'll have some lectures where they're not exactly just me talking, they're more conversation. And then you'll have a series of interim assignments where the corporate sponsor is going to come to class, present the case to you. You're going to have access to them throughout the semester. Their U.S. headquarters is in Philadelphia, and their worldwide headquarters in Gothenburg, Sweden. So you'll have interaction with the client and with me throughout the semester. And I can honestly say that in taking the course, you will get skills that you can use whether you're a marketing major or a finance major or an accounting major or whatever your major is, because you'll get real-world experience and coaching in doing a pitch, in this case on persona building and consumer behavior and branding to the client. You'll get feedback from me before we go to Sweden, and then when you present in Sweden to the client, you'll get real-world experience and feedback from the client. So why Sweden in the winter? Well, first of all, I'm a Sweden lover, and a lot of people think I might be Swedish, but if you can tell how short I am, you'd know I'm not a Swede, because they're all tall. So I'm not Swedish, but I have been going to Sweden for my whole career. I was an exchange professor there. Some of the great things about Sweden in the winter, you really get access to seeing a different work environment. It's you'll go to Sweden probably sometime in your life in the summer as a tourist, and it's great. I highly recommend it. But if you really want to know a different sort of feeling towards work-life balance, you get that by going to Sweden in the winter. Because Swedes work 6 hours a day, but when they're working, they really work. And when they're not working, they're enjoying great food, friendship. It's a really warm atmosphere. I can't explain it, but you will if you go to Sweden with me. The west coast of Sweden is not all that cold. It hovers around 32, 33 degrees. Spits snows, spits rain in the winter. But every restaurant sparkles and conversation is sparkly. And one of the things that we're going to be doing as part of this course is I teach every year at the University of Gothenburg in Sweden, and I'm going to arrange a mixer so you'll be able to meet with Swedish students who've worked on an SCA project with me. So I think that's kind of a cool thing to do as well. So Sweden and the project, I think, will be rewarding to you from its experiential nature. You'll get to really work with the company, really experience the country from a one-on-one basis by meeting Swedes, by kind of living a Swedish lifestyle for a week. And we're going to do some great cultural things. Gothenburg is the home to a lot of major corporations, including Volvo. And has anybody been through the Volvo tour in Gothenburg? It's really fun. It's like the Swedish auto workers listen to opera. I always think that's interesting, you know. And so you'll get to go through the Volvo operation there as well as the SCA operation and meet with, we'll also go here, I'm hoping, and I think I have commitment to get you to the House of Sweden, which is really a great part of the embassy in Sweden here. So I actually have a 1 minute for a former student from last year's Paris program to talk, and we have a couple of other people in the room who can give you feedback too on what they experienced. But I hope to see a lot of you in the Swedish program. Don't be afraid of Sweden in the winter. It's dark only 18 hours of the day, not 24. So Claudia Rodriguez is going to just give you 1 minute, I promise, of her kind of experience, what it was like being in this short-term study abroad. Thanks.
Oh, hi everyone. As Linda said, I was in her Paris program last year. It was with Ferrero, which is one of the biggest chocolate companies in Europe. And what I can say is it gave me maybe one of the best experiences in the MBA career. It was very challenging. We were working a lot, but in the end it paid off, not only because we got to present to the senior leadership team in Luxembourg, and we got really good feedback from them, but it also opened doors in terms of career and jobs. Just because of that project, I actually got an internship with Hershey. I learned about a new industry that I never thought I was going to be interested in, but it's just a very good experience. It gives you a new topic to talk about. You get to be exposed to a new industry, international markets, have that real exposure to employers, and it is a very close to the real life project that you're going to have, because here in school we have maybe weeks or months to work on something. There you're going to have days and hours. So it's very hands-on, very involved, but I would highly recommend it.
And I think that most of you have read about the project we're going to be working on with SCA Torque. It's going to actually be on branding, positioning, and persona building in the hospital segment of the market. SCA Torque is very much into office hygiene and workplace hygiene, and they want to have a bigger presence in U.S. hospitals. So that's what our project is going to be, and you can talk to me in more detail about it anytime. You can always email me. I'm on sabbatical this semester, even though I'm here, and I answer emails really well. So feel free to email me anytime, or we'll chat afterwards. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing a lot of you there. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah. Thanks, Patty.
So wonderful. If we can have Professor Yun Jung come up to talk a bit about his program. And then you have a slide, correct, Professor? I'll stop sharing my screen.
Open the file that it's the click. I think it's right. Just kick it over. Hello, everyone. My name is Yun Zhang, and I am the instructor for the China STEP program scheduled for spring 2017. I mean, this is the fourth time that I have led a trip similar to this. 3 in my previous employer, 1 earlier this year at GW. I mean, China, of course, is a vast country that almost every day you will hear about. If you flip through Wall Street Journal, almost every day you will see an article or two. They are talking about Chinese economy as well as political systems there. But a lot of talks in the popular press are mostly about either state-owned companies or multinational companies. Now, all these companies are big, but they're only part of the economic system there. In fact, a majority of registered companies in China are small to medium businesses. And these businesses provide almost like more than 70% of employment numbers. So they're important. But at the same time, they're in a very difficult situation. This is because, unlike the state-owned companies, they don't have government support. They don't have unlimited funding from state-owned banks, which are typically supporting those state-owned enterprises. On the other hand, they also, those small businesses don't have those expertise enjoyed by those multinational companies. So as a result, in order to survive in that very competitive market, these small businesses really need to find ingenious solutions sometimes in order to survive and thrive. So this is why we are going to focus on small businesses in my course. Can we go to the next page? Then I guess the next question is that why do you want to visit China with me? All right. I was born in Shanghai, the commercial capital of the country, and went to college in Beijing. That's the political capital. It's no coincidence that these are precisely the 2 cities that we're currently scheduled to visit. Because I'm from China, so I figured that my Mandarin Chinese is perhaps at least as good as my spoken English. And like I said earlier, I've done four previous trips. And some of the previous trips I did mainly focus on those multinational companies and state-owned companies. But the problem of visiting those companies is that typically the kind of speakers you got there are mid-level managers who usually are not decision makers or big decision makers. They are very familiar with the sphere of influence they control, but they do not necessarily know the big picture. One of the benefits of, or interesting feature of focusing on small businesses is like earlier this year I did this, the same trip, focusing on small businesses. At every company we're able to talk to and hear from the owners. These are precisely the decision makers, and they are very open to any sort of discussions that or questions that you might be interested. So you see the person who makes decisions, I have extensive connections to the small business communities in China. In fact, some of the businesses that we visited actually are owned by my college classmates. So you're able to sort of you're able to get the sort of as extensive a connect or access as you may wish. In fact, after the trip, one of the students is so impressed with one of the owner of a company that we visit. She actually invited the owner to speak as a keynote speaker at one of the at a conference she organizes. So, in fact, you can get this type of opportunities by going on this trip. And also, another thing that I want to you be aware is that, typically on those trips we will have like around 20 students. You can imagine, based on my prior experiences, I have 4 trips and 20 students each time. I have 80 students in total. With that many students, law of large numbers applies. Something's got to happen. So one year, so we were in a very remote village in China, which is beautiful. 5 o'clock in the morning, my hotel phone rang. And it was the front desk saying, telling me there is a student got sick. I almost fell out of my bed. So I went to see the student. Unfortunately, he had like a bad concussion. So I had to, at the middle of the night, took him to a county hospital. That was even an eye-opening experience for me, who was born in China, because I don't want to touch anything in that hospital. Another incident is that one time before the trip, a student came to me saying, you better write something in Chinese on a piece of paper. I need to show that to the restaurant, to whatever restaurant we went to. And apparently the guy had a food allergy. So I wrote for him saying, I'm allergic to seafood. If I eat seafood, I'm going to die. Right? So every time he showed that piece of paper to waitresses or waiters in China, he always got a big laugh. As a hindsight, I probably should have written something else on it to make things more interesting. But anyway, so I can flip through the next page. Next page, please. All right, so in terms of a course management, so we will have 2 in-residence sessions. And in those sessions, I will do some presentations, and I will also invite guest speakers to talk about specific topics. And also, you will do group projects, do presentations on projects that you select in a group. And in terms of the trip, we will spend roughly 10 days in China visiting Beijing and Shanghai. That's the current plan. From earlier this year's trip, some students even sort of suggested that we might need to consider visiting a city in the hinterland. Beijing and Shanghai on the east, on the coast. So, of course, this is something that we can definitely change if there's a demand for visiting the hinterland. And the tour not only consists of sort of company visits, but also consists of a bunch of cultural visits, like Forbidden City, Summer Palace, Great Wall, etc., etc. Can we flip through? And well, this is pretty much standard. Your grade will be sort of dependent on your individual class participation, trip participation, as well as a final paper. The final project is sort of like a business proposal. So I will ask you to come up with a business idea related to China. And in this proposal, you will basically lay out this idea and pretend as if that you are writing this thing in order to get external financing from a venture capitalist. Yeah, that's it. Any questions? Yeah, I'll be available either through email or phone calls. I mean, if you're interested, so I'll be very happy to answer your questions afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Zhang. And at this point, we will bring up Professor Mary Granger, who will talk about her course, Traveling to Barcelona.
Okay. We're going to do something a little different than the other two. We're going to look at companies that are just starting up, brand new startups. So, we're calling this innovation and technology. So what are the startups that are starting up, obviously, or brand new companies in Barcelona? The other thing we're going to do is take some coursework at ESADE. Anybody familiar with ESADE University in Barcelona? So we'll do a couple of courses, a couple of mornings there, and then the other days we will do quite a number of company visits. And sightseeing. We can't miss the sightseeing. How many of you are familiar with Gaudi's work? So we'll do quite a bit of that. It looks like right now that our middle day, and I'm not the big sports fan, and I don't do soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, at all, but it looks like they have arranged for us to be down at the Barca football stadium, and we'll be doing a case on Barca. So if that's what you like, is the football, that's certainly not the startup, but the other work will definitely be talking about startups. I have taken classes not to Barcelona but to Israel, and what I've always looked for is brand new startups. So some of the startups are maybe 4 or 5 people. We'll also go to an accelerator and an incubator, and they are different. They are two different things we learned last year. So it's sort of going to be more the brand new companies, where they're going, what they're thinking about, and how they're going to get themselves off the ground, I guess, is really what we're going to look at there. There'll be some class meetings before we leave to talk about what we're doing there, how we're going to go about how we're going about things once we get there. Dr. Donnelly came in last year and talked about innovation, because that's not really my forte, but he gave a really nice lecture on innovation and entrepreneurship, so we will combine that with where we're going. I know you're always looking at the grade. I can't tell you what the final project's going to be, because I'm going to base it on what we do as we're in Barcelona. I've changed it every year depending on what's happened on the trip, let's put it that way. So I think that's really all I have to say. It's a work in progress for me, because we haven't done Barcelona yet, but I think we've got a nice framework. If I was going to ask anybody to say anything about my trips, it would have to be Hillary, because she went to Israel with me last year, and she's lobbying to be my TA for Barcelona, because she speaks Spanish, and I do not speak Spanish. So that's always good. But any questions, I guess? Yes?
How many do you usually have for one trip?
I have 14 to 16. Asadi would like us to have 16.
Do you have any major papers?
No, I don't. It's going to be mostly technology, but I know, and Hillary can say, she's not a technology person. I think that the people that have come that are not technology people have learned quite a bit, not about technology, but how a company can start up from nothing in the technology area, but then they carry that over to other companies. So I think one of the things you'll gain an appreciation for is maybe you too can be an entrepreneur, and maybe you never thought about doing that before. And I would say that's the feedback I get from a lot of students. Well, these people can do that, I can do that too. Why shouldn't I start up my own company? But I think I've had people from Decision Sciences come with me. I've had government contracts. I have MBAs from any kind of field. So not just MSIST students. I think last year we had about 50-50 on MSIST and MBAs. In the previous years, maybe 2 or 3 MSISTs and mostly MBAs. I have a student right now that just threw her name in, and she's a healthcare MBA out in California. And so she does everything online, and she's decided that she thinks she wants to do this trip so she can talk to other people in the program at GW. Good question. Other questions? Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to say the best way to get me is email. If you want to come and talk to me, let's set up a time on email, because that's probably the easiest versus coming to my office and finding out that I have 6 other database students hanging around or something like that.
Thank you, Professor Granger. And again, her email's on this slide, but it's also on the webpage for her specific study abroad program. So with that, we will pass it along to the final faculty member to present, Professor Mark Hyman, which is leading a program to the West Coast.
Oh, yeah. I've asked my friend, former student Healy Sutton, to speak for 90 seconds about 2 programs that she experienced. One as a TA and one as a student within the last year. Okay.
Hello. So I went with Professor Hyman to China last summer and to Florida this past spring. And I guess as far as this program he's doing here, the more kind of relevant is when we were in China, we consulted with Major League Baseball, who was trying to develop interest in baseball and basically, it being a large untapped market, increase interest there in order to sell more of their product, which is baseball. And I think just, a lot of people have alluded to this. The real benefit is the people that you meet, it's a real world project. We actually presented to the MLB Asia, some of their staff at the end of the trip, came to them with ideas, suggestions, some of which I hope that they put into use, but they were, very receptive. It's immediate feedback, and it really is, a real world consulting experience. In Florida, we got to meet with a lot of very interesting people. I exchanged emails afterwards with Mark Shapiro, who's the president of the Blue Jays, and just getting to meet people, having access to them, being able to ask a lot of questions. They were extremely candid with us, and also obviously if you have an interest in working in sports, it's a very good opportunity for that as well. Anything I'm missing?
Nope, time's up.
Time's up. All right.
Thank you very much. All right, so I've got a self-imposed 10-minute deadline here, which I'll try to hold to. So reasons that you might want to take this course. I've identified 4. You may think of others. Number 1, CSR, corporate social responsibility. Why do companies do good deeds, and why do they choose the good deeds that they choose? I think we will have some insights into that. Action sports. Are you interested in this category? Very fast-growing category in the business of sports, and a number of iconic companies that we will either visit or talk about quite a bit, ranging from Tony Hawk, the iconic skateboarder of our generation, to the X Games, ESPN's property, to Patagonia, and other companies in this space that I think we're all familiar with and have a piece of this action sports category. Consultancy. This is an opportunity to be a part of a real consulting project for a real client with expectations. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And then finally, if spending spring break in Southern California and Portland, Oregon is not unappealing to you, I think this course might be one that you would consider. I want to tell you about some of the exciting things that are already confirmed for the course. We have two partners who will be a big part of what we do. One is Fuse Marketing, which is the really preeminent sports marketing and research company in the action sports space. They're going to be supporting our course throughout. And we're going to be working with the founder of the company, Bill Carter, who's going to be in DC to speak to the class about action sports. Our other partner is the client, Nutcase Helmets, which is based in Portland. And the founder of Nutcase, who is a Nutcase, is Michael Morrow. And he is going to be intimately involved in the project and will be speaking to us in DC during the period when we're meeting here. Now, I want to tell you just a little bit about Fuse. Their clients include Amazon, Mountain Dew, Starbucks, Gatorade, North Face. This is a gold standard sports marketing company in action sports. Nutcase is an amazing company. I was in Portland 4 weeks ago and met with Michael Morrow, the founder of the company. Have you ever seen Pee-wee's Playhouse? The movie Pee-wee's Playhouse. This is Michael Morrow's office. It is a very cool, the vibe of this company is amazing. They make these helmets that are works of art as much as they are helmets. So this will be a company that I think is very receptive to what we're doing and that you will enjoy working with. In terms of the structure of the course, we're going to meet 4 times in DC, starting in January. There'll be sessions devoted to the action sports category, corporate responsibility, Nutcase. And then the final session will be a wide open brainstorming session in which we'll be talking about possible directions for this corporate social responsibility plan for Nutcase. So 4 meetings in DC around those subjects. Then, over spring break, we're going to be traveling to Southern California for 2 days for meetings, site visits to companies to explore their best practices. And I can't tell you what companies we're going to be visiting, but I think the students on this trip will really enjoy the companies we'll be visiting in Southern California. Then we'll be flying to Portland for 3 days for additional site visits there, for a dress rehearsal at Fuse Marketing, and then on the final day to present to Nutcase, to present our CSR plan in Portland at Nutcase's headquarters. That's the course. So it's quite linear. We're going to be doing a lot of work in DC. We're really going to be doing a deep dive into corporate social responsibility, action sports, and the client. By the time we get out there, most of our heavy lifting and research will be done. But this is not just a research course. I refer to it as an FIO course. Figure it out. A lot of problem solving on this course and collaborative work, not only with the client, but with one another in the class. That's my story. So I'd be happy to answer questions now, or Patty, would you prefer that we defer until? Okay. If there are any questions about the course, happy to take. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hyman, for speaking about that. And again, all of the faculty members will be available to speak with students later on. after the end of this information session. I'm going to talk briefly about our short-term exchange programs. So we have two different types of short-term programs that we offer as part of our suite of elective study away courses. These include those that are run by School of Business faculty members, and you've heard from the faculty that are running courses for this winter and spring break. And then I'm going to talk about those courses that are actually run through our exchange partner institutions. So we send students to directly enroll in these programs with our partner institutions, and then those partner institutions take kind of full ownership over running the course, which can include things such as company visits, cultural activities, and lectures given by their own faculty members. So it's a great way, as I mentioned before, to really diversify the group of students that you're taking courses with, to really kind of expand your network in terms of the faculty members that you're speaking with, and different areas of research. And so it's really kind of our partner institutions' time to highlight their key areas of expertise. And these are, courses that are through our partnerships as a business school. They are exclusively for, graduate students in the School of Business at GW. So it's a unique opportunity through your status as a student in the business school. So first I'm going to talk about our course, which is being offered by one of our new partners. So it's new as of this year. We have a partnership with Melbourne Business School, and they actually are running two courses, one on brand management and one on doing business in Australia. And so this partnership is exclusive to our MBA students, so it's an MBA partnership that we have with them. And so GW MBA students are able to take either the course on brand management or the course on doing business in Australia, or both classes together. So it allows you to earn anywhere from 1.5 credits to 3 credits, to as many as 4.5 credits if you participate in all 3 weeks of the program. A few things to note, though, is that the course does overlap by a few days with the start of GW spring semester on January 17th. So something to keep in mind if you're interested in the Doing Business in Australia part of the program, that you would be missing the first few days of class on campus, and so that's something to keep in mind when enrolling in classes for the spring. But again, it's a great partner that we're excited to have, and they've been running this course for many years now, and so have lots of site visits set up with companies across Melbourne and lectures by their faculty members. Next, I'm going to move to our partnership with Tel Aviv University. So they run a course on innovation and entrepreneurship, specifically looking at Israel. And so, as you might imagine, Tel Aviv is an obvious destination for innovation, entrepreneurship, and Tel Aviv University really leverages their connections with alumni in the startup community there to provide students with a 10-day course of lectures, case studies, company visits, and then also some cultural activities that include day trips to Jerusalem, for example. So this is open, again, exclusively to MBA students. It's an MBA exchange, and it's worth 3 credits for this 10-day course. The course travels from December to January, and we do only have 6 spots available. So I did want to let you know that it is there is limited capacity for this program just due to the number of other partners that Tel Aviv University pulls from to participate in this program. But if you are a professional student or a working student and are interested in taking summer study away courses, this course is also run again in May, towards the end of right after our end of the spring semester. And so you do have the opportunity to apply again to participate in that course in the summer. So next I'm going to talk about a brand new course that's being offered through our partner Grenoble School of Management, and that's located in southeastern France, right near the French Alps. And this is the result of a collaboration with Grenoble, with our university, our office, UNC Kenan-Flagler, and then Duke's Fuqua School of Business. So students from all 3 of these U.S. business schools are going to be participating in this program that's being run by Grenoble. And this, for those of you who aren't familiar with Grenoble, it's really kind of the heart of technology in France. And so they really have as an area of expertise technology management. And a lot of U.S. companies and other nationals, including companies such as HP, have headquarters in France, specifically in Grenoble. So you'll include company visits such as such as those. Also be visiting some other, kind of more startups or different types of companies and tech companies specifically while you're on this program. The other point that I wanted to really highlight is that they have a faculty member who has this certificate program in serious games. And so they've included that complimentary as part of the course, that students would automatically get the certificate in serious games. And so gamification is now, kind of widely recognized in education as a way for, or also in the corporate environment, as a way to help you kind of turn serious topics into a more, kind of fun, thinking outside the box way of brainstorming solutions to common problems. So it allows you to learn how to, mobilize your staff through these marketing games and allowing them to, kind of increase how they interact with customers or how they service customers, or maybe, just kind of common solutions that they can think creatively about to solve problems within those companies. So it's a really unique part of, I think, the course that we're really excited that they're including as part of the program. Next, on our last course that's being run in January, for our winter break courses, is one through Audencia Business School. And so Audencia is located in Nantes, which is about a few-hour train ride from Paris. So it's really easy to get to. It's a lovely city. It's a lot of students really have enjoyed getting to spend the week there, just finding, walking around, just a historic city. And the program itself, Audencia, is very close to the downtown area of Nantes, and it includes. This is a really great option if students are looking for flexibility. Perhaps you have like a certain number of credits that you want to take at this time, or you want to be able to choose the courses that you're taking at these partner institutions. Audencia gives you a wide variety of choices that are all listed on this slide, so that you can pick anywhere from 1.5 to 4.5 credits that you wish to transfer back. And that's over the course of 3 weeks that they're running these programs. So some of them are located in their home campus in Nantes. And so those would include those management courses that are offered in different groups. But they also run the final week a study trip to Brussels for a few days, which students are able to participate in. And so through that study trip, you're doing mostly company visits or site visits to government institutions, that being the home of the European Union. You're going to meet with some EU officials while you're there. So it's a really great course. I think the important thing to highlight, again, is that final week does overlap a bit with the start of GW spring semester. So it's important to keep that in mind if you're applying for this course, and keep that in mind with the courses that you're planning to take this spring semester. So next I'm going to talk about the two courses that our partner institutions are running around our spring break. So the first one is Mexico as an Emerging Market, and this is being offered by our partner school, IPADE Business School, which is located in Mexico City. And so this is really highlighting Mexico as an emerging economy, and it's doing so with alumni connections that IPADE has. It's got the largest alumni network in Latin America, and they include I think they had the former CEO for Latin America of Dole, the fruit company, come and speak to students. Previous years, they've had the general manager of Uber in Mexico City come and speak with the group. So you're getting really strong guest lecturers coming to talk to students about the Mexican economy and how their company plays a role in that economy. But you're also hearing lectures from the IPADE faculty members themselves. So highlighting, kind of their areas of expertise through case studies. So you'll be working with on the case method while you're at IPADE. And then you're also having an opportunity to take classes with local IPADE students. So you're put in teams with both students from IPADE and then students from other partner institutions, which students have said is a really great feature of this particular program. The most important thing to note is that it is a large program. So they accept around 300 students each year from all of their partner institutions around the world. So it's a very large-scale program, and it's impossible for them to align it with everyone's spring break. And so, unfortunately, this course does run the week prior to GW spring break. So it is not recommended for students who are taking classes on campus that would overlap with these program dates, but it could be a good option for students who are taking more condensed courses throughout the course of the spring semester and would not otherwise have to miss on-campus courses or online courses to participate in this program. And then finally, I'm going to talk about our course being run by Copenhagen Business School, which is our partner in Denmark. And they're offering, it's kind of a two-course option for sustainability in Scandinavia. So as you can imagine, Scandinavia is really well known for what they've been working on in terms of sustainability and CSR. And so two separate faculty members are running two separate courses that are available to GW students to participate. It's important to note that you can only pick one or the other for these courses. So it's not as the other options that I presented earlier where you can kind of pick and choose more than one. Since there are such limited number of spots available, as it mentions, there's only 2 spots available the first week and 8 spots available the second week for GW students on each of these courses. You are only able to participate in one or the other. So the first week is run the week prior to GW spring break. So again, you would just want to make sure it's not conflicting with any of your courses on campus. And that's looking at the concept of regenerative sustainability. And so that course you can participate in, or looking at just in general sustainability and CSR in the Scandinavian context. And that includes, both of these courses will include company visits as well as lectures. And it does give you a good amount of free time to also explore Copenhagen and the city while you're there. So with that, I will see, does any students have any particular questions about any of these courses that I've discussed?
Let me give you that mic.
Thank you, Patty, for being my runner. Okay.
So, can you hear me?
Yes.
So for the winter programs, when is the tuition due? Is it due in 2016 or 2017?
So any winter course is enrolled as a spring 2017 course. So the tuition would actually be due the same due date as your tuition for any other, kind of spring semester course that you're taking, which is usually the first day of the spring semester. And so the financial aid that you could potentially apply or scholarships towards tuition, those would all, it's lumped in as tuition for the spring semester. So that's a good question.
So you're saying then that most of these programs will be able to go on before we pay the tuition?
Correct.
Okay.
But you would still obviously owe the tuition if you participate in but that's a good point. The program fee, which is attached to any of these courses for participating, is also due at the same time as tuition. So definitely something to keep in mind. Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Yeah. Hi, Lisa. Is the selection process for the exchange programs the same as the GW run ones?
It's the same in that you have to apply online and that someone will review your applications. So in the case of the faculty-led courses, the faculty themselves review the applications for the programs that they receive, and then our office actually reviews the applications that we get for the short-term exchange courses, because then if students are selected, we then kind of offer our nomination, which is basically our endorsement of these students to participate in these courses. Does that answer your question, Haley?
Yes.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
I have a quick question. So normally we can apply for more than one program, right?
Yes.
So if, for example, if I am not selected for the first choice of my application, will I be equally considered for my second choice compared with other students who have my second choice as their first choice?
Oh, okay. So we don't look, so the faculty members can't see the rank of your applications. So when you're applying, it's kind of like a blind application. So they're reviewing, applications and making admissions decisions based on the pool of applications that they've received. And then, from our end, it's very similar to the short-term exchanges. We're reviewing applicants within the pool of who has applied for that particular program. So, the ranking isn't really taken into consideration. It's more just kind of like for you to use as a tool, what your first or second choice is. So again, you can apply to as many programs as interest you. So that way, if you aren't selected perhaps for your first choice, you may still be selected for your second choice.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Hi. For both the winter and the spring options, when is usually the time you notify us of our selections?
You guys are answering all the questions that I have in a slide coming up, so let me actually just jump forward to that. But this is good. These are good questions. So you would, basically the timeline is you apply, and then after the deadline, faculty have about a week to review applications, and then they share the admissions decisions with us. And then those students that have been admitted, that's when we review those students who also applied for scholarships. And so then within, around 7 or 8 business days from you applying to the program and submitting your application, you would know, one, if you've been admitted to the program, and then, or programs, if you've applied to more than one, and 2, if you did apply for the scholarship, you would also then know at that time if you've been accepted for the scholarship. And so once that's done, you then have 5 business days from us sharing the admissions decision with you for you to commit to the program. And committing is submitting a $500 deposit. That can be paid by credit card, and it can also, it's put on your student account as a credit, so you can put it towards, the cost of tuition or the program fee for those programs. But that $500 deposit is something we need to have, kind of a final count of committed students who are actually planning to participate in the program, and that way we know kind of the numbers that we're working with. Any other questions? All right, so I'm going to finish up with this slide. So as I mentioned before, the scholarship application is part of the online application, and then we encourage students to apply to all programs of interest. So the application does close, just before midnight of the actual application deadline. So it's really important to work on these applications in advance of that deadline, because it will cut you out once midnight strikes of the deadline. So just keep that in mind. As I mentioned before, the deposit is applied to your student account. This says summer semester, but it'll actually be for the spring semester. And then we will actually be enrolling you in the course that you're participating in. So this is different from maybe some students who just log in online and enroll in courses. G&EE will actually enroll you in the Study Away course that you're participating in. And then at that point, we'll also notify you what the program fee is. We have provided estimates for most of the courses as to what you can expect the cost of the program fee to be, and then we usually try to keep it either at or below what that estimate is, so that you can plan accordingly with requesting additional financial aid or just budgeting purposes. And then finally, you please wait for our authorization or faculty authorization before buying any plane tickets, so that way you're not missing course dates or arriving to the wrong airport or something. So again, we'll share much more detailed information when it's time for you to purchase your flights. And then I did want to just put in one short plug for long-term study abroad. So we have short-term study away options that we've covered here in detail, but I will be presenting next Monday at 5 o'clock on our long-term study abroad options. So we have 21 partner universities, some of whom offer these types of short-term study away courses, but all of our partners are available for students to study abroad for either a full semester, and some even offer you the opportunity to study for just 2 or 3 months at that institution. But it allows you a much more immersive, in-depth experience in a different academic environment, but also having access to hundreds of different elective courses based on the different areas of expertise of our faculty. And then we do also offer scholarship funding for long-term study abroad programs, and that's any student that participates in a long-term study abroad automatically gets scholarship funding. So that's another highlight, I think, of those courses. So if you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to me, and I encourage you to attend our information session on Monday at 5. And we've been sharing information about that session with students through your emails and also social media. So final steps to participate in these courses. 1, make sure that you're able to travel. So if you don't have a passport, you should probably apply for one. or get it renewed. You want to also understand your personal travel requirements. So if you're an international student, or if you're in a certain visa category, or perhaps you need authorization from your employer before you travel to certain destinations, just make sure that you're looking into that and doing that research while you're applying to these courses before you have to actually commit and pay the deposit. And then finally, just communicate any needs that you have with me. I'm available by email, phone, Skype. In person might be a little tricky unless you're in the Bay Area, but I'm also I'm happy to meet with students at any time if you have further questions. So are there any other kind of general questions, things that I didn't cover in the presentation that you can ask? All right. So if there's no questions with that.
There's one question, Lisa, I think. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
We'll diversify who's asking the question. This is just a quick question, and maybe it's kind of a duh, I should have known this, but as far as the study abroads with the professors that were traveling, are the accommodations, like, are we paying GW and they're arranging that, or are we responsible for arranging that?
So it's actually not a dumb question, and it really depends on the faculty member and the type of course. So a good example might be Professor Maddox's course in Sweden. So, the students might be spending a few days in Stockholm beforehand. And in Stockholm, we understand that students may have, kind of different budgets in mind for accommodations. And so you may be staying, you can, kind of have the flexibility to choose your own accommodations in Stockholm. And then when we travel to Gothenburg, it's just, a much smaller city, but also you're going to be, kind of towards the tail end of really ramping up for your final client presentation. So it's important that everyone's in one spot. And so we might, arrange hotel accommodations in Gothenburg and then charge students for those accommodations through the program fee. But it really depends on the type of course. So there's a budget, there's a cost estimate included in each course. And so you can see what is included and what's not included. So anything that's listed as a billable expense means that GW will bill you for that expense. If it's listed as a non-billable expense, it's something that you would arrange yourself and pay out of pocket for. So the flight is always going to be non-billable or something that you pay out of pocket for, but the accommodation can really vary widely depending on the partner or the specific faculty led course. So, if you have questions about a specific course, check the website or just feel free to email me or give me a call. Are there any other questions?
Hey Lisa, I got one question. This is Mihai. I was wondering for the short-term exchange programs, do you stay in dorms in those or in hotels? Because I know like in Turkey and in China we stayed in hotels, but in London we stayed in dorms. What's the difference for the short-term exchange ones?
Yeah, the short-term exchanges, again, it's going to vary. So I would say a good example would be the course to Israel. That they arrange the lodging for you, and so they charge you a fee for that lodging. But for the majority of the courses, like the two courses that are being run in France, for example, through Audencia and Grenoble, those are small cities, and so they might give suggestions for where you might stay in terms of your accommodations, but you're not, you wouldn't be paying either university, either GW or the host university, for your accommodations. You have that flexibility of picking it yourself. And so generally it's not dorm accommodations. I think in London it was just, due to how expensive things are in that city, especially during the summer. But if accommodations aren't arranged by the universities, they usually provide recommendations for kind of hostels or different levels of accommodations that you can choose depending on what your budget is. All right. So, Patty, are there any other questions?
Doesn't look like it. So.
All right. Well, I would like to thank Patty, and if everyone can join me in thanking Patty for helping working the controls at the front. So again, I won't get in the way between you and your reception. So enjoy, ask any questions